a crunchy granola, barefoot, chinchilla armpit type woman for Jeff. And then I'll believe he's into her. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Soap Lore, the official gathering place for newbies, novices, and OG diehard fans of the golden age of primetime. I'm your host, Jet, viewing and reviewing the soapiest, studsiest, globe-trottingest episode of 1984. So whether you're new to this or true to this, sit back and enjoy. Tell the kids it's time to play outside or out of sight. Tell babes, listen, no questions, suggestions, or concerns for the next 25 to 35 minutes. Everyone else in earshot, cool, quiet, or kicked out are your only options because we are watching our story. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Soap Lore. Hello, gorgeous. Welcome back to another fun-filled edition of Soap Lore. I'm your hostess with the mostest, or at least I'd like to believe that. I'm Jet, viewing and reviewing some of the soapiest primetime stories of ago. We are in for another treat. We're still in Denver. We're back on Dynasty. Ooh. At the time of this recording, I have not watched the show. I decided I left you guys for too long. Let's do some back-to-back realness. We are on season 4, episode 20, which means we are near the end of the season. They are up in the ante, up in the antics. I'm expecting the unexpected. They're quite literally building up to something a little bit interesting. This episode is called The Voice. There's no doubt in my mind this is about our girl Claudia the Stallion. We'll get into that here in a second. I hope your day is shaping up well. I hope you've had a wonderful day. If you haven't, guess what? We're gonna go back to my Boom Baptist days. One of my BTU teachers used to say, hey, before you kids come in here acting a teetotal fool, we're going to kick the devil out. And basically, you got to just kind of pop lock and just fist fight the air frantically. Just exert as much energy as you could. Act like you were the Tasmanian devil and you threw all that energy out of the door. That's what we're going to do right now because we're going to watch our stories. Please pardon my dog, Periwinkle. She's in the background acting up a little bit. She watches my soaps with me sometimes. So go ahead and pour yourself up something bubbly and bright as we jump into season 4, episode 20 of Dynasty, The Voice. All right, guys, before we jump into the show, I want to jump into some fan mail, some hot takes. I tell you what, this whole beauty pageant thing is really sparked a conversation that I didn't know we needed. I'm so glad we're in it, though. Before we go there, I want to shout out my friend Kip, who reminded me the last time we did Dallas, I went on and on about how Jock and Ellie knew that Ray was Jock's son. That wasn't the case. They knew about the affair. Jock knew he had an affair. He told Ellie as soon as he got home. It wasn't a surprise when Ray showed up on their doorsteps, although I struggle with that because when you say it out loud, Jock had an affair with this other woman, and then you look at Ray, they look very, very similar. Yes, Ray's not as tall as him, but the striking blue eyes, the kind of the way they stand, it's very much the same. But thank you for that. I'm not out here trying to just spew misinformation, especially for the newbies who are watching this and then listening to the show. I hope you're doing it in that order. I hope you're watching the shows first and then listening to me and then coming up with your own point of view. And I'd love to hear your point of view. It is one of the brightest parts of my day. You can always text me if you are on your mobile device. God, don't I sound like an 87-year-old woman? If you're on your mobile phone, you can look in the show notes and text. Full disclosure, I can't text you back, but I will always acknowledge you on air. Or you can send me an email like it's 1997, because I love that, to soaplorepodcast@gmail.com. That is soaplorepodcast@gmail.com. So thank you, Kip, for the correction. You're absolutely right. They didn't know. But man, that is really just getting extra messy. I can't wait to get back to Dallas. Before we do that, I am being chewed alive a little bit for my opinions on who should and shouldn't participate in the beauty pageant. Let me just say full disclosure. I grew up watching pageants, participated in a couple. And my whole thing is that you don't just show up at a pageant. Yes, you might show up regionally, but you have to have a little bit of pizzazz. You have to have a little bit of something that makes the audience want to come back for more. You have to know how to catch us. And I'm thinking about that with some of the men, and that's not always the case. Some of them are just popular by proxy. It's one thing to take off your shirt and be greasy, but can you hold my attention? That's what I'm saying. Shelly, a fellow millennial from Florida, does not agree. She feels like I'm all out of whack, and we're going to jump into her. Thank you, Shelly. Thank you for your email. She has opinions. So Shelly writes that she is a millennial, born in the 80s, watching these shows for the first time. She agrees that they are awesome, but I have it all wrong when it comes to the categories. Okay, she says, Jet, there's absolutely no way you can leave out the silver-haired fox category. It's not only necessary, but it's an essential addition to the vintage primetime all-male review beauty pageant. First of all, beauty pageants aren't just about youth. It's about presence, confidence, and yes, swagger, which isn't handed out at birth. It's earned over decades of victories and lessons, reinventions, and battle scars. A man like Richard from Falcon Crest or Philip from Falcon Crest carries an aura built on years of command, charm, and refined sophistication. These guys just aren't characters. They embody the experience and style, providing that charisma that only deepens with time. She also adds that swagger isn't instant. It's a slow burn that turns into a legacy force. I like that take. I like that. A young man can walk into a room and be noticed, sure. But an older man with a sharp suit, measured gaze, and an effortless presence, he commands attention without asking for it. He's the one with lifetime's worth of wisdom, lessons learned the hard way, and a refined edge that makes every word count. That's why age before beauty isn't a rule, it's reality. Because beauty without depth is fleeting, but depth with beauty, that's timeless. She goes on to say, Jock from Dallas, Blake from Dynasty belong in the pageant. They're living proof that swagger and power don't fade, they evolve. And anyone who doubts that, well, they just aren't paying attention. Shelly, baby girl, you have completely convinced me. You are absolutely right. There is something so refined, and I find this the older I get. There is something so refined about the confidence of a full-grown man. You're right. It is a quiet confidence. It is a commanding presence. It is alluring without saying a word, and that's power. You are absolutely right. Anyone can take off their shirt. Anyone can do, 100 squats, whatever. We can watch your gym bro routine. And I'm not saying that's bad, but she's right. There is something with, how does she put it, girl? She said, age before beauty isn't a rule, it's a reality. Because beauty without depth is fleeting, but depth with beauty is timeless. Sold, sold, sold. We have just added a silver fox category to the all-male vintage primetime review. Now, the only little caveat that I have, Miss Shelley, is that, girl, how you gonna put Richard? Richard ain't old. Richard has old man tendencies. I have thought that from the beginning, so I totally understand how you could think that. But Richard is not old. Richard is a few years older than Chase, and by my estimation, they're 40-ish, which is, that's grown. We good and grown. Millennials are hitting the 40s. That's not 80. You know what I'm saying? That's a totally different thing. But, okay, let's throw that in there. Do you think Philip? Do you think Jock? I think Jock's, oh God. I can see Jock has a different sort of swagger. He's a haggard old wild catter. He's been wheeling and dealing. He was JR. I think JR inherited more swag. I don't know where from, but he got it. He got like a double dose. Philip is sly. I don't know how far you are because you're not naming everybody. So I'm going to watch my mouth here. Enjoy the show. Well, obviously, if you've gotten this far, you know who's in there. I don't disagree. The silver-haired foxes have to be there. And let's I don't know if we want to put an age limit on that. I don't think Chase and Richard would be considered old, but because they're someone's dad, because they have adult children, I'll allow it. I'll allow it. I think that's relative to them. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump into season 4, episode 20, and find out what's going on with my girl Claudia the Stallion. Justice for Claudia. I'm not gonna lie, I cringed through a lot of this because my least favorite people are front and center. This episode is all about globetrotting to prove a point, globetrotting to secure some information, and globetrotting for the sake of love. It all involves the Carringtons, which is just, it is what it is. So obviously when you hear something called The Voice, who would hear voices other than Claudia the Stallion? She's a 2-time felon, or I don't know what you'd call someone who's in an insane asylum twice. She's not necessarily a felon, but she is a 2-time recipient of the Not Sane Award. So she has to be very delicate in the way that she moves throughout the world. That's irrelevant. We'll get to her here in a second. We got to talk about Miss Stanky Leg herself. She is back on her 2 noodle leg feet. She is moving around and she's trying to make up for time. Fallon wants to make sure that she is staying abreast of all the latest developments with her hotel, La Mirage, which is at the center of all of the activities in Denver. But she's also realizing that, like, dang, I really, really, really do keep picking the wrong person. She's quickly getting over Peter, which I wouldn't expect anything less from a soap opera. Obviously, you don't have time to linger and to dwell on something that has already happened. What can you do about what's been done? But someone who also understands this is Jeff Colby. Jeff understands that he has a very limited window when it comes to the love of Fallon. Love is a very generous word. I think he can hold her attention for a very small amount of time, and he's going to take advantage of that on this episode. So Jeff decides, before Fallon gets too independent, let me slip in there and see if I can't coax her into a little bit of vacation. Now, the whole long and short of this episode is that Blake is going to go to Hong Kong to handle some business. Crystal's going to go with him because that leaves the mansion a little bit more open. Jeff decides this is the perfect opportunity to reach out to Fallon and take her to Aspen. Let's go skiing, girl. You just learned to walk again? I think the best thing we could do for your very weak and wobbly knees is put you on a pair of skis, pair of toothpicks. Let's send you down the side of a mountain. Can't imagine what can go wrong with that. That's irrelevant because Jeff knows, okay, listen, Fallon has picked the wrong guy after me at least 2 or 3 times. The least I can do is throw my shot out there. So he does. He approaches her, and I think he finally realizes this episode that, hey, I seem to be the sure thing, the safe bet. I'm not exciting to her. She keeps picking people who are not necessarily more handsome than me. They're not necessarily wealthier than me. They have something that she wants. They are captivating her attention for longer periods of time. So what can I do? If I've been predictable, let me just flip that. Let me Uno reverse this whole thing. Fallon, I'm not going to go to work today. I'm going to go to Aspen. You want to go? To hell with work. And she's like, oh my God, Jeff, you're giving up your administrative task? Yes, absolutely. I will fly with you to Aspen. To hell with that kid Blake we made. Let's go to Aspen. Okay, now I wanted to hate on this whole scene because I'm absolutely, completely annoyed with this. And it's just like, I feel like Regina George. Stop trying to make fetch happen. It's never going to happen. Fetch being this relationship. They don't have the chemistry. You are fun when I have absolutely nothing to do, Jeff. But instead, they keep trying to make fetch happen. He's obsessed with her. And I ain't gonna lie, they get to Aspen, and I don't know who did the lighting, but we all know Jeff is handsome, but he looks like a whole entire snack. He looks scrumdiddlyumptious. And Fallon can't help herself. She said, you know what, let me go and take a little nibble. Let me take a little bite. They do their thing, but she starts having these like weird headaches. I hope this means she's going to have a split personality in the next few episodes? Because I'm like, why didn't she have a headache when she was in the hospital? Maybe because her legs weren't working. I don't know. But she keeps showing the audience, oh my God, these headaches. Jeff somehow convinces her that not only is he the good thing and the safe bet, but he's also dangerous. He has a dangerous side. She's like, you know what? That's my ish. That's my cup of tea. Go ahead, Jeff Colby. Take me to bed. They go to bed with each other. It is not at all romantic. It is not at all a surprise. It is very predictable. And I am left wanting and disappointed. Not that I judge my own life over other people's on-screen sex chemistry, but there is none. I think it's time to hang it up. Let's let this go. This is never going to be a thing. But on this episode, just know she hooks up with him. Oh, I'm cold, Jeff. Oh my God, you're so dangerous. You're such a bad boy. God. If I have to explain what a bad boy is, then you're just not it. If I have to give you an explanation, you ain't it. I'm not going to sit. Listen, Dynasty. Perry agrees with me. De Blasio, calm down. We got to move on. I don't really give a damn one way or another. All I know is she's having headaches. Hopefully she has a psychotic episode within the next 4 to 5 episodes. You know what? I'm not letting it go. Actually, I will never let it go. Why is Jeff the doormat? Why is he good luck Chuck? Why is every time Jeff touches a woman, they go running for the hills? They either run to Hollywood, they steal keys from him, go back to the insane asylum. Jeff can't catch a break if his life depended on it. He couldn't hit water if he fell out of a yacht. This kid is he bad news bears? I don't know what the heck's going on. Why does he keep running into these fiascos? I hate that they are trying to drag Fallon into this. That was never going to happen. The best thing they could have done is on season 1 where he called her their relationship like a perverse relationship between an iguana and a human or something like that. I can't remember what he said, but he cussed everybody out at the birthday party. And then he was bathing in the sun with baby oil and bacon grease and whatnot. By the pool, Fallon came out there. He read her for filth. That's where we should have left it. Next thing you know, she knocked up by him, even though she was messing with his uncle, who almost was her daddy. I'm so sick of this. Let Jeff and Fallon go. And he says, oh my God, you're so interesting. You're so diverse, Fallon. Don't you want me? I'm dangerous. I didn't call in to work. Sir, that's not dangerous. That's called being over 30. That means you understand what PTO is. You also have to understand Jeff Colby owns half of Colby Co. and he has a huge stake in Denver Carrington. He could flirt in the wind all day, every day, and never show up and be just fine. This is what pisses me off so much. There is no chemistry there. Can we please let this go? There's 97 other broads on this show. You know what works? The Dharma and Greg trope. We need a hippie. I need an earthy. I need a crunchy granola, barefoot, chinchilla armpit type woman for Jeff. And then I'll believe he's into her. I refuse to believe that he wants one-dimensional, rail thin, no shade to her body, not body shaming. I'm just saying, he don't want that. And sadly, she wants what? She wants geriatric billionaire. She wants coked out playboy. She wants doctor with a bad East Coast attitude. I'm over it. Jeff, it was never going to happen. But I'm supposed to believe they're going to bang bang on flannel sheets and everything's supposed to be Gucci golden and perfect. She don't want you. She had that baby because her father told her to, which is probably one of the most disturbing things I've ever heard in my life. But here we are. Thank you for listening. I just needed to get that off my chest. This is becoming a whole thing. We gotta let it go. I understand that the chase is romantic. The frenemies trope is a whole thing, but she just don't want him. He's boring. And she called him stiff, which I really appreciated because I recall at the beginning of this episode, full disclosure. Yeah, so what? I watched this at work. I'm good at my job. I watched this at work and then I had the nerve to be annoyed when I had to do work. I'm like, what? Just stop asking me questions. I'm watching Dynasty. But yeah, he is a little bit stiff. It's not that he is. Some people are stiff and rigid to rules because they want to make sure things flow swiftly. He doesn't even seem like that. He just seems like he's just naturally a little bit stiff. He has a little bit more of a boring taste, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, for someone like her who is a globetrotter, she's sleeping with all sorts of dudes, you're just not going to pique her interest. Thank God you're her baby daddy, because you're going to be solid. Way more solid than a filibuster could ever be. But that's the long and short of it. Let it go. Jeff needs someone entirely different than him. Entirely. Socioeconomically, everything. She needs to be totally, totally different from him. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. This episode made me solidify a few things. With this being episode 20, we're almost at the end of this season. I have decided fully how I feel about the bit players. Number one, Dex Dexter is that dude. He is him with a capital H. He is the man boyfriend. I love everything about Dex Dexter, from his just perfectly erect posture to his back hair, proudly displayed on national television in front of God and everybody. I also like the fact that Dex Dexter don't give a damn about a closed door. On the last episode, I left this part out. You know how I like to say the devil works hard, but Kris Jenner works harder? Dex Dexter has to work even harder than Kris Jenner and JR, because somehow he knows anytime Blake is about to have a meeting. I don't know if he senses it in his blood, if he smells it in the air, but he kicks down, he bursting through doors like it's his business. Blake, you in here having a meeting? What's this about? I'm on the board. I know you're not having no unsanctioned meeting. And Blake's like, not only am I having an unsanctioned meeting, I am not meeting with the company of this man. I'm meeting with the man of this man, whatever that means. He then scolds, Blake does. Dex Dexter, you said you was a big boy. You said you were used to the big time. This is the big time, baby boy. Get used to it. Dex Dexter is not going to let that go. Now, here's the thing. He's starting to be a little bit colluded in the mind because he's so into Alexis. He's starting to be paranoid about the relationship between Alexis and Blake Carrington. Again, I feel like this is fetch. I don't see this happening. She wants to destroy him. So her obsession is more about his detriment, not the benefit of him, which is totally different. But I guess if you're a man pining for a woman's attention, you want all of it, good, bad, or indifferent. He is slowly learning that he will be a stepdad to children who are within 7 or 8 years of his age, which is difficult because Alexis is, she may not be a hands-on mom in the traditional sense, but she definitely cares about her kids. So he is navigating that well. I like everything about Dex Dexter. I love how he comforted her last episode. I love how he brought her into business. I love that he wants to see the best for her. I love that he ain't afraid to kick down a door and embarrass himself so that he can make sure he and his woman are in the best light. I love it. I love everything about him. God, I hope he's on from that. I don't know how long he's going to be on. They don't seem to hold on to people very long on Dynasty, is what I'm noticing. But I hope Dex Dexter is here to stay. Now, on the other hand, I was fully excited about Tracy. I saw something weird in her eyes. I saw a little bit of the Claudia the Stallion, some of that. Maybe I've spent a little bit of time in an insane asylum type situation. Unfortunately, Tracy is messy to be messy, which I can't fully appreciate. Listen, I'm going to be with you when you are right. Tracy deserved the PR position over Crystal, hands down, no question about it. I will never, never, never deny that fact. However, you going above and beyond, you being all in people's personal calendars before they were digital is a problem for me. So on this episode, Crystal shows up in her cream. This time she shows up in cream and silk because she is her. She is no longer worried about spending $100,000 a season for her wardrobe. She's her. She's that girl. She's going to put it on every single time she steps out. Well, she's minding her business. Blake is about to go to Asia, somewhere in Asia. Tracy's in the room and Tracy lets the beans spill. Like, Crystal, should you really be traveling when you pregnant? I'm so sorry, girl. I saw in your calendar that you were going to the OBGYN. How do you know that wasn't her annual physical? Gentlemen who are listening, I'm sorry if this makes you a little bit squeamish, but you know what? This is life. These are the questions that all women are thinking. It's okay. It's fine, I promise you. How do you know she just wasn't an annual physical? How do you know maybe she wanted to change her birth control? You don't know what she was going for. But Tracy is messy. And I can appreciate mess when there is an actual return on the mess. But this is just messy to be messy. You already got the deal. You are already Blake's PR person as what is he? He's like a congressman or chairman or something. He's some vague government position. You've already got that. Why are you messing with Crystal? I don't normally take up for her, but I need you to back up because it's about to be on. Crystal is from Ohio. Ohio. Don't play with her. She's going to mess around and remember her roots and drag you through a studio. She did it to Alexis. She'll do it to you. As the episode progresses, Crystal has no choice but to confess to Blake that, yes, I think I'm pregnant. I'm just a little bit nervous, and I was nervous to tell you. They work through this because, of course, this is what he wants. You're my wife. I love you. You love me. There's nothing more beautiful, nothing more sacred than creating a life between the two of us. It's a beautiful. Crystal is in the family way. Congratulations to Crystal. Now, I thought she had a weird shaped uterus or something. I can't wait till Alexis finds out because she's going to flip her lid, which is not the best because she's already going through so much. Each one of her kids is showing their entire behind in a totally different way. Fallon kicked her out of the hospital. She is very, very sad about that. Adam is about to marry the help's daughter, which is ew. It's a whole thing. And now he's mad at her. So that's one thing. And then, Lord have mercy, Claudia the Stallion is embarrassing the entire Carrington/Colby clan by running around embracing her psychosis. That girl is nuts. And Alexis can't have her running around looking for ghosts. It's embarrassing. So on this episode, she has to be on top of several things. First things first, Stephen, come onto my office. I am really glad that Fallon has La Mirage because this begins to get very, very confusing very, very quickly. Stephen works for his mother. He can't stand his father, so he's working for his mother at Colby Co. He's doing a pretty good job. She calls him into the office because he wakes up one morning in a bedroom where he has this really thick, like floral comforter. And I thought, you know what, this is probably the most realistic part of this entire show. If you are married, your wife is going to decide. If you're a straight couple, let me just be there. If you are a heterosexual couple, obviously the woman is probably going to be the one who decorates the bedroom. Men tend to not care about that one way or another. So she has this really heavy floral comforter. This whole situation looks very, very comforting. It looks like the JCPenney's. You remember when they used to make those little half beds? I remember my brother didn't realize that those were fake and he just leaps into one and it was just nothing but plywood. Sorry, I told that, but it was funny. It was hilarious. What did you get? Stephen is sleeping peacefully in this ocean of floral and cream when he reaches over to hopefully find his wife. Unfortunately for him, he finds a note. Claudia's like, yo, I'm so sorry to embarrass you, but I had to go to South America. She has been tormented nonstop. I don't blame her. She has to get to the bottom of this, but because we all know she's been in the insane asylum, it's very easy to believe that she is having an episode. However, she's not. That has to be the most frustrating part about going quote unquote crazy when in fact there were a series of events that happened and you had a snap. You had a mental snap. It's perfectly fine. Alexis gets wind of this and she brings Stephen into the office and she says, now, Stephen, clearly you're my favorite child. Clearly. But when I say you are acting a teetotal, you are acting a teetotal. You are Boo-Boo the Fool right now. And I need you to understand something. What sense does it make for your woman who has been in the Kookaloo house to go running around the globe looking for clues after she's been in the Kookaloo house? What sense does it make for you to jump on a plane and chase this woman who has been in the Kookaloo house as she runs around the globe? Doesn't that make you a Kookaloo too? Basically, she says, don't be a fool. Let's send a psychiatrist. Let's send her doctor, the person who gave her the diagnosis. Let's send him halfway across the world so that some of this is going to make sense at some point. He can tell her, hey, you tripping, your husband been dead. I need you to relax. Steven's not having it. He's like, Mama, it'd be one thing if she was making this up, but I saw the notes. I saw all the things. She clearly is seeing something. I'm gonna be a good man. I'm gonna follow my woman down to South America. So on Dynasty, there is not a lot of, there's a little bit of diversity, which is funny because in America, obviously the diversity is going to be other Americans, right? Which is relatively diverse. But when you go to South America, literally the only Spanish I heard was Bienvenidos, ¿Cómo estás? Very basic, very pamphlet-like Espanol. Claudia gets down to South America and her guide is trying to tell her, okay, this is what's this is that. When suddenly Mr. Pat Dunn, Albuquerque born and bred as he presents himself, starts jaw-jacking. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. By the end of their time together, it is very clear that Mr. Pat Dunn wants Claudia's Pat Dunnese. He wants panties. He's trying to get in the draw walls. She's not really into it. Like, dude, back up. I don't need you. Please leave me alone. She thought he was going to help her with her daughter. She's asking personal questions. And that's the thing that pisses me off. It's not just that she lost her husband. She lost her daughter, too. He is very insensitive to that. Even though he's a hottie, I'm going to let that ride. I'm going to keep his face in mind because if Perspective Push is true, he'll be on another soap opera very, very soon. So as she's telling him, listen, I'm not interested in your advances. All I want is my family, and all I need is a clues to find my family or to understand what happened to him. He keeps pursuing her. Come on, don't you want me? Blah, blah, blah. Next thing I know, new face Steven pops up like, hey, didn't you hear the lady? I need you to back up. She don't want nothing to do with you. Mr. Pat Dunn falls to the wayside. Steven and Claudia are guided through the jungle, and unfortunately, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, unfortunately, the Jeep where Matthew and Lindsay allegedly perished is still sitting in the jungle. It is burned, and the guide explains to her, listen, no, we didn't find any bodies, but that's not unusual. This is the jungle, baby. I need you to understand that in the jungle, this ain't a zoo. This isn't the woods. This is the jungle. This is nature at its most raw, real, and uncut. People are drug away by wild animals every single day. We have a very difficult time believing that they were not drug away. So in the real world, you'd be like, okay, I kind of accept that. In soap opera land, ain't no bodies. Which means they could be anywhere. They could be walking around with amnesia. They could be doing all sorts of weird things, but we just don't know. Would they be capable of sending her these sort of coded messages? Why wouldn't Matthew just come out of the woodworks? I don't believe Matthew's alive for that reason, because he'd have no reason to hide his identity. He knows where she is. He knows where she lives. He knows that she's married, and he's still sending these things allegedly. This has to be someone else. We'll get to that by the end of the episode. I need to touch on my girl Kirby this episode. Kirby is also persona non grata on the set because they keep giving her the most matronly, historically inaccurate robes to wear around the house as a 21, 22-year-old woman. I just have a very difficult time believing that she's dressing like Laura Ingalls Wilder the entire time. She looks like she's been at a Renaissance fair this episode. She's only in one scene. She's in the kitchen with Adam. He is sipping wine. She comes down. She wants Adam to help her find her mom. Yo, my mom's alive. You would think if anyone on earth would understand that, it would be Adam. And I'm slowly starting to understand their relationship together. So they are both two people who grew up without their mother, whether that was a rejection or whether it was just circumstances that were beyond their control. They grew up without a mother. They grew up in a place that they didn't really belong. And now they both want to make a better life for themselves. And this is where they start to differ. I don't think Kirby cares one way or another about wealth, about status, about anything like that. She was fully in love with Jeff. She just wanted to be Mrs. Jeff Colby. Adam is on a redemption tour. And for whatever reason, he sees Kirby as the perfect pawn in this particular situation. And I don't really see that because, okay, you're not going to gain status by having Kirby. Yes, if she has a baby, that's one thing. But any woman he has a baby with is going to be a Carrington baby. So why would that even matter? Kirby also is well liked. I was thinking about this today on my way to work. There's nothing to dislike about Kirby. She's not invasive. She's not disruptive. She doesn't really seem to have any, I'm not saying she doesn't have any goals, but she's not here to disrupt anything. But Adam is. So it's only a matter of time, in my personal opinion, before that crumbles. She's like, yo, you told me you would help me find my mom. He's like, hey, we got a task here. We got to focus. We got to get Adam on some meds. We got to get him on some Prozac or something, because this rapey vibe, this super intense vibe is beginning to mess up things. What it doesn't mess up is his vision, because he sees his mother as a problem. Oh, you don't like my wife? I got something to say to you. So he goes over to Colby Co. And I have to remember that he works for Denver Carrington. He works for Blake. Steven works for Alexis. Let's put a pin in that because we got to talk about Blake. So Blake originally thought he would take Crystal to Hong Kong with him so he can handle some business. There are some new breakthroughs and some whatever, blah, 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 legalities, USA, blah, blah, blah. Crystal, newly pregnant, her doctor advises her not to do anything strenuous. And I guess flying to Hong Kong could be strenuous. She's going to go ahead and stay home. She encourages Blake to take Tracy. Tracy's going to know what to do. Tracy is that chick. Let's just take her. He thinks that's a great idea. They show up in Hong Kong and they're waiting for this diplomat to show up. And to my shock, awe, and surprise, we just talked about this man yesterday. Ahmad Rashid, not Hadid, shows up and he's like, hey, guess who's back in the blah, 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 blah house? Blake's like, Ahmad Rashid, what the heck are you doing here? He's like, funny thing, a country hired me to do business, so do you want to do business over here or not? They have a whole business discussion. It's a little bit weird. Blake feels away because he's been screwed over by this man one time before. He's not going to do this again. So he puts a couple of parameters in place. He's stalling a little bit. He's like, hey, Tracy's here not only as my PR person, but as a witness. I don't trust you any further than I can throw you. He starts to do a little bit of a background check on Ahmed. Okay, let's go back to Adam. This coincides right about the time that Adam goes over to Alexis's office to tell her to back up because he's going to marry Kirby. He does not appreciate her trying to give her a new job in Paris and all that. That was not cool. It was even worse that she exposed her mother. It was just horrible. And he's like, I need you to chill out or we're not going to be cool. So as Alexis is listening, her secretary, her male secretary, burst in the room like Dexter. And he's like, I'm so sorry, Miss Alexis, but Adam, you have a phone call. You can take it on line 1. Adam takes a phone call. He's like, it's Blake. Blake wants him to check into Ahmad Rashid. So he writes this. Adam bends over. He writes this on a notepad. He snatches the paper off. When he's done, I respected this so much. He was like, Mom, you were in the middle of saying blah, blah, blah. They pick up where the conversation left off. Actually, they don't. Alexis is like, well, you already feel how you feel. There's no point in me pushing this any further. I've said my piece. Let's just let it go. He's like, bet. I gotta go. Love you. Mwah, mwah. Love you too. Well, she's smart and she starts doing this little task I learned in Girl Scouts when I was like 8 years old, where you can do like leaf rubbing. Basically, you run a pencil or a crayon over a sheet of paper and you can see what was there previous, or you can put something underneath and make like this really cool piece of art. She does that and she quickly sees the name Ahmad Rashid. Now, luckily for Alexis, she is an international playgirl. That's one of her booskies. That's one of the dudes on her list. So she's like, oh, bet. She starts reaching out to her do dirt people because now she has resources. She wants to know, hey, find out everything that Ahmad Rashid is doing right now. So she now has the upper hand, sort of, or at least some skin in the game when it comes to Blake's businesses. I will say this season, she hasn't been heavy on her business because her kids have been running a complete and total muck. but she seems to be back in there, and I'm excited to see what happens with Ahmad Rashid. Blake eventually decides that, okay, Ahmad, you're probably cool enough. He's considering doing business with him. But before he can get too deep into that, Tracy and he need to go over some particulars. She's like, well, if you're not too tired, let me go to my room. Let me get some notes that I took. Well, she goes to her room and she comes back with some very enticing sort of peachy pink lingerie. Blake gets all uncomfortable. It's very clear Tracy has an ulterior motive. And I'm like, no, damn it, Tracy. I thought you wanted the job. You got the job. What else could you gain at this point? Crystal has ops all around her. Now, I was all for this when this was all about the PR game, but Blake, have a seat. She seems to like him old. She seems to like him powerful. She just seems to like power. I don't really know what it is, but Tracy is officially on my list. Let's go ahead and wrap this up because it's a little longer than I intended. Let's get back to Claudia the Stallion. She comes to some sort of exception after she cries her tears. She sees the Jeep in Peru in South America. She's like, okay, cool. They're gone. She and Steven fly back to the States and she's trying to move on with life. But then I can't remember what they're doing exactly, but the butler, the same butler who brought her the manila envelope, says, Mrs. Carrington, you have a phone call. Claudia goes to the phone. She starts listening, and it is a country and western sounding. Claudia, we need our family. You're our family. I'm like, oh my God, that's Matthew. She hears this and she goes hysteric. She starts flipping the hell out. As any naturally sane or insane, if you hear a voice from beyond, you're going to flip out a little bit. So she's like, Matthew, now she's freaking out. It is so upsetting. It is so terrible. But I have my own theory. I would like to go on record and say, season 4, episode 20, the butler is the most consistent person in this scene. It's got to be him. Now, I don't know who the hell he is. I don't know why he's doing this, but I feel like it's the butler. He's coming out of nowhere. Every time I turn around, he's delivering some bad news to her. It is him personally. Now, mind you, I've only seen him in 2 episodes, but that's all I need. I will be loud and wrong if I need to be. Leave the woman alone. Matthew, I was never a fan of Matthew, but you know what? If he is alive, guess what? I need her to sue his ass for filth. Don't forget that on season 1, she had to testify. She had to humiliate herself in court and admit that she had a whole affair, even though he had a whole affair before her. Then he had the nerve to get pissed, even though he'd been sleeping with Crystal all this time, snatch up her baby after they have an accident, wait till she was in damn near a coma, and then drive off with her kid. He's going to jail for kidnapping. She has been losing her mind ever since, and she's slinging Cabbage Patch dolls off the top of the Empire State Building, etc. He better do a bid. That's the least he could do for the pain and suffering that she's had to endure all this time. Oh, this was a good episode. There was a lot to learn on this one. I think, Shelly, I want to thank you for contributions to this episode because you really got me thinking. Wisdom doesn't just come with age. Wisdom comes with experience. Claudia has a lot of wisdom. Crystal has a lot of wisdom. A lot of these people on the show have a lot of wisdom, and you got to listen to that. There was a heartwarming scene this episode that I'm going to leave out. It's a little mother-daughter moment. I hope you go back and watch for yourself and fully enjoy. I think we're going to go ahead and end it there today. Thank you so much for joining me on this fun-filled edition of Soap Lore. Remember, if you like silver-haired foxes, that's okay. This is a supportive environment. Us OGs, novices, I guess I'd be a novice, and newbies fully support your decision. Remember to reach out to me in the show notes or at soaplorepodcast@gmail.com. In the meantime, in between time, stay hydrated, stay moisturized, mind your own business, and keep all of your drama on TV.